Welcome to the podcast today where we celebrate innovation for a happy planet. I am your host, Abigail Carroll. Before I introduce our guest today, I want to thank you for your support over the past year because yes, today's podcast concludes our first year of programming. To celebrate, we venture into Africa for the first time on this podcast. We will be speaking with Klaartje Scarde, the CEO of Mwani Zanzibar, a seaweed-based cosmetics company based in Zanzibar, Tanzania. I would have loved to have done this podcast on site. Klaartje left her banking job in London to take over this fledgling project that seeks to have both environmental and social impacts. Their high-end product line is coming soon to the US and is already available in Europe. Let's hear it from Klaartje. So you have a new company in Zanzibar, which is part of Tanzania. It's an archipelago off of Tanzania, in case listeners don't know. And it's called Mwani Zanzibar. Tell me about this company and what you do.
Thank you. Our company produces skincare from seaweed, and everybody that works with us and for us are seaweed farmers turned artisans. So we're a company that focuses on high quality ingredients and also make sure that all the ingredients are actually produced within a short distance from our company. And the concept is that they're fresh, so fantastic for your skin, that they benefit the local communities, and that we work with them to improve the quality of their ingredients and give them new markets. And finally, it's also to maintain a low carbon footprint.
So let's start with seaweed.
Yes.
Why seaweed?
Seaweed is an absolutely wonderful ingredient, and we feel very blessed to have stumbled upon it for a myriad of reasons. It's fantastic for your skin. It's fantastic for your health, and we can delve into that a little bit further. But also ecologically, it has been very good for the ocean. So it helps with ocean acidification. It's also a bit of a nursery for small fish and crustaceans that often get overfished in areas such as these coastal areas that we live in. And then it helps with carbon sequestration as well. So there's a lot of benefits. Moreover, to farm it, we don't actually need to deplete any resources. We don't need to use pesticide or fertilizer. We only need the ocean, the water, and the sun, which is terrific.
And that's something you have a lot of in Zanzibar.
Absolutely. We've got sunshine. I'm not sure how many days a year, but most of the year is just sunshine for us.
I've always wanted to get to Zanzibar and I have yet to get there, but someday it will happen.
I hope so.
So tourism's a big industry for Zanzibar, but actually the fisheries is, I think, the biggest industry. Is seaweed playing a big role in that?
Absolutely. It's a rather interesting industry. Tourism is huge, but it actually mainly affects the male population. And in Zanzibar, also increasingly so, people from the mainland, which are not actually from the island. Seaweed farming is traditionally done by women. It's actually traditionally a very low income crop, whereby men actually can't be bothered to go ahead and farm. It's not worth their time since they have a little bit of a higher education in Zanzibar. And therefore, we find that about 98% of farmers are always women. Unfortunately, that does also mean that women are very often mistreated, and the income that they receive from the seaweed is not enough to pay for basic living costs. So it's quite a bit under minimum wage.
So what are you doing to combat that in your process?
Yeah, what we do is that these seaweed farmers have actually become artisans. It's quite a simple model. As artisans, they're trained and are paid as tertiary workers. So they actually reap the benefits of producing a finished product. And of course, the concept is that we produce very high quality products, which then deserve a higher market price, but also made using very rigorous manufacturing methods, whereby quality is key and we don't emphasize speed, we rather emphasize quality and attention to detail. And with that, we can actually afford to pay them very good salaries. And what's more, actually also our whole supply chain, because we don't need to cut corners and try and reduce costs around every corner, we can also afford to pay our suppliers a good income.
You mean the suppliers outside of seaweed?
That's correct, yes.
Because there's more than seaweed in your product. So tell me a little bit about how you developed a product and what kind of seaweed you're using. Is it one seaweed or lots of different seaweeds, or different seaweeds good for different things? How are you growing your line?
That's been a labor of love. It's taken us several years of researching the indigenous seaweeds here. And following that research that was done in partnership with a few universities around the world, we narrowed it down to 3 seaweeds that we've actually registered on the International Database for Ingredients. So we're the first company to actually be using those seaweeds, and we've developed and patented a process for extracting the nutrients from those seaweeds.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's all done here in Zanzibar by these ladies, and it's been an intense journey, but a very enjoyable one as well.
It sounds like an amazing opportunity for these women. How many women are involved today, and how many do you think are going to become involved as you grow?
Well, in total, we've got 180 suppliers,
Wow.
direct suppliers, and in terms of artisans, we've got 15 women.
15 or 50?
15.
Women.
Those are the actual artisans.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, we've got another 25 women which are working with us on the seaweed farming.
Yeah.
And also in our processing. So it's always a journey to try and assist all these people and all these groups to process their raw materials better and further. That's the aim, because then the value stays with them.
You could have a potentially huge impact.
Yes.
What's interesting, I think, in a lot of these blue economy projects is that it's not just about the ecology. They really want a social impact as well. And it sounds like you're really hitting 3 different impacts. You're having a wellness impact because the seaweed's going to have a net benefit for the skin. You're having a social impact, and you're having an ecological impact. Why is that so important?
I believe that business is necessary and we all need it to get by. I just don't believe that it needs to be on the backs of other people or the environment. And I think I love this island, both the beauty of it, but also the culture on the island. And because of that, I feel responsibility to also give back. It would be wrong of me to live here and not acknowledge that. So that's our aim. And we really try and instill that in all of our workers and suppliers, really that idea of sustainability and longevity and their future generations. And they see it before their eyes, the changes due to tourism and, of course, trade coming here, fishing industry coming here, and talks about other types of commercialization. And what's really important to remember is the people and what happens to them. Because unfortunately in Zanzibar, the level of education is still rather poor. I believe that the average age of education is about 11 or 12.
Wow.
So there's still a long way to go. And with girls, that's also been changing, but it's often considered that it's not as important to educate a girl as it is a boy. Yeah. So we definitely want to play a strong role there.
Yeah, women play a really important role in developing economies as well. So it's important to get those women educated because there's a correlation, I believe, between investment in women and success of these growing economies.
Absolutely, 100%. At Mwani, I hate to say it sounds a bit like a cliche, but it is a family. It's not the typical business model where you go out and you try and find the most educated and the person with the best background for the role. What we do is we look for somebody with passion and drive, and we've grown with them since the start. So it really is like a family. You get who you get, and you just have to move forward together. I think in that sense, it's also very unique, and I love it. It's been a labor of love, but it's fantastic.
Well, it's interesting because on the back end, you've got this whole community, and yet you've got a very scientific process. You've added 3 seaweeds to the international database. You have a patented process. It's a lot more than I think a lot of your competitors can claim in this seaweed skincare area, which is a growing market, I think. So tell me about the sales side. Where are you going to sell this and how is that going to look?
We're looking to start selling in the US by the end of October, which is very exciting. It's going to be direct sales from our website, but we're also looking to sell through a few boutiques. So it's very much a niche product. It's not a mass-produced item, and it comes directly from Zanzibar. So we're looking for the right partners who speak the same language and have the same values as us.
And the language doesn't necessarily mean Swahili, you mean? Because that might be hard. Although you might certainly find some immigrants. But well, that's really exciting. Are you selling already in Tanzania or in Europe?
We are in Tanzania. It's been very popular. And actually, I will say that about 76% of our sales are French. So the French market particularly likes our product, and we'll be selling there as well very soon. And this is our new product line. So we've recently had another product line, and this is the new one that we're pushing out internationally. So we're sending our baby out into the world in the next few weeks.
If I order online, is there going to be a custom problem, or do you have to deal with customs? How have you worked that out?
We've worked it all out. Everything's going to be in the States. So actually, between ordering and receiving, it's between 1 and 5 days.
Okay.
On which part of the US you live in. So yes, we've really tried to also structure this in a way that we could offer the same services as you would receive from any other American company.
Yeah.
That was very
Does
important.
that mean you're shipping large quantities over there and then people are ordering from that stock, or are you actually making the US markets creams in the United States?
Everything is made here by the mamas.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yes, so everything is absolutely made by them. We're shipping certain quantities to the States.
Yeah.
Also not very large because we also want to keep control over the freshness of it.
Yeah.
Of course, the products have a long shelf life, but for us, it's not even about the shelf life. It's about the bioactive ingredients, and the fresher, the better. It does make a difference. And that's what we've been known for, actually. We really do produce products from freshly pressed coconut oil that maybe is only days old. And that's quite a unique feature. And we just received another 100 kg of beeswax from our supplier today, and that came fresh. So it's really, that is so important to us. And we actually have to also work with the seasons, which I find is very important here, but actually becoming more and more rare around the world. Seasonality is very important to us, and we actually order our produce according to the seasons as well. So we've got a whole spreadsheet with that, just to make sure that we stay on top of that. But that's the whole concept. You know, we should be ordering everything in season from a short distance. Yeah, it's important to us.
Well, our skin might need different things at different seasons too. And maybe the ingredients that are available are what your body needs at those moments.
Very true.
Tell me about the product line. What's in it?
We've got a skin superfood cream. And it's actually been proven to help with metabolism and cell turnover, proliferation of keratinocytes. It is fantastic. It's more of a cream to really get your system going rather than a relaxing cream. We actually recommend that it's used in hand with a healthy lifestyle. So the concept is perhaps you do sport and you apply it after you've showered. We very much also have a different take on skincare. We don't advertise that one cream will change everything. We believe that everything has to go hand in hand. It is not a cure for all. What has to happen is that all aspects of your lifestyle work together to provide the best outcome. So it's more of like a supplement in life, and that's something that we find really important to emphasize. We also have a facial cleanser and mask, which is a 2-in-1 product as well. And the concept is also, if we do more 2-in-1 products, it's better for the world.
Yep.
I see a lot of companies, they seem to have 6 steps, 9 steps, 15 steps. And
right, to sell more stuff.
Yes, at some point you have to ask yourself, where does the science stop and the focus on profit start? So we actually prefer to do 2-in-1 products. And if we can, and if that doesn't affect any of the benefits, then absolutely, why not? It's better for everybody. So then we have this beautiful, beautiful cleanser. It is very high in honey, and it's actually mangrove honey. So it's a fantastic project that we have with a group of beekeepers, of about 20 beekeepers in a remote island in Zanzibar. And what's terrific about it is it's mangrove honey. So through harvesting the honey in the mangroves, we're also helping to protect those areas, helping to pollinate them, and also have a foot in the door when it comes to the preservation and the restoration of those areas. So that's a long-term investment of ours, also into biodiversity.
So you've got so much there to unpack. You know, the gorilla in the room is La Mer. They dominate the seaweed skincare arena. And there are some other emerging brands. Why do you think yours is going to have an impact in the markets in Europe and the United States, where you're certainly not the first entrant? Why should people pay attention?
We feel that authenticity matters. And we really believe that this is a golden opportunity for an African company to come into that market space. And we want to do it well, which is why we've actually invested so much time into the science of things. We're doing it all on a shoestring budget in terms of the marketing. So it's much more relying on word of mouth.
Yeah.
But it's all about quality on our end. And we're telling our story in a very genuine way. And we believe that that will spread the news. We believe that that will work. The women have a very strong wish to make their mark. And they've worked so hard on this for years. And the results also have been really good. So I've been using the products. And truthfully, I wouldn't use anything else. And of course, I know that people have to say that, but I really wouldn't.
Right.
They really are very high quality products. And I haven't even spoken about the soaps, which is what we've been known for years. We use a cold process method, and each soap requires about 9 weeks to be made.
Wow.
Of course, that's absolutely not cutting any corners. It's using the best process possible to give optimal results. And that's what we believe in.
Beautiful. And all the seaweed's coming from your local area, right?
Absolutely. It is a species of Turbinaria. It's also a species of ulva from the family of ulvas.
Yeah.
And also Sargassum and Euchemus spinosum. So it's a combination of those.
Well, it would be great to use Sargassum because I'm sure you know about on the west side of Africa, between Africa and the Caribbean, that huge Sargassum mess that we have. Lots of people trying to figure out what to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, ours is not invasive, and it's a very particular type of Sargassum as well.
Okay.
And I think that's also very often people say, well, seaweed is healthy, but it's a bit like saying one vegetable does the same as any other vegetable. There's so much variation in the different species. And I think although there is companies already in this market, it's really a process of education still, because there's so much to unpack there and so much we don't know, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think that's all still quite new. So that's exciting. It's a really exciting space to be in.
It's time for us to take a short break. When we return, we'll find out what inspired Klaartje to get involved with seaweed skincare and hear her thoughts on how Mwani Zanzibar could grow in the near future. A big thanks to the Maine Technology Institute, MTI, investing in innovation for a prosperous Maine. MTI is Maine's unique public-private partnership whose core mission is to diversify and grow Maine's economy by accelerating innovation in the state's targeted technology sectors. MTI offers grants, loans, equity investments, and services to support Maine entrepreneurs and organizations as they transform their innovative ideas into new products, services, and companies, leading to the creation of quality jobs for Maine people. For more information about MTI and its programs, please visit mainetechnology.org. For a blue economy to thrive, people need to use more sustainable products. But which products? And will consumers actually adopt them? Innovators like you are hustling to figure this out. Spark number 9 can tell you if there's demand for your product. Spark markets your product before it's built using online advertising so you launch smarter. Have a big idea? Vet it with Spark before you build. Visit Spark online at www.sparkno9.com or find them on LinkedIn. Maine Venture Fund is a state-sponsored venture fund here in Maine with a mission to support the highest potential Maine-based startup companies by investing early-stage capital. Maine Venture Fund's goal is to accelerate job growth and economic opportunity for the people of Maine. Learn more at mainventurefund.com. Welcome back to Happy Planet. My guest today is Klaartje Scarde of Mwani, Zanzibar. So tell me how did you get into this? What's your background and what inspired you to get involved in seaweed skincare?
It's a long story. I'll try and cut it short. I actually used to work in investment banking and mergers and acquisitions. So it's a very natural transition.
Where?
In London with a company called Merrill Lynch, which I'm sure you'll be familiar with. Yeah, it was an interesting experience for me. And I think it made me a bit stronger in my shoes, I think would be the way of putting it. I left after a few years, actually, to deal with family bereavement.
Sorry.
And during that time, I spent some moments soul searching, thinking, well, what next? Is this really what I want to continue doing? And I realized it wasn't, and I left. Life is too short. You've got to take good care of it, and you've got to be passionate about what you're doing. So I started soul searching and stumbled upon a project that was about to be defunded, reluctantly, but it had cost too much money to the philanthropists behind it. And that was the seaweed project. They were sorry to let it go, but they didn't think that they could continue. And I asked them to let me start and take it over. And they were only too happy to kind of hand it over to somebody. Yeah, so I packed 2 bags and I brought my 2 children over and started. And the concept was always, if it doesn't work, I can always make sure I save up enough money and just get my flight ticket back, right? You can always go back. But yeah, it stuck and I never left, and I love it here. It's not an easy place to live, but it's absolutely beautiful.
I can imagine. So what a fascinating opportunity. And tell me a little bit about the startup climate in Tanzania. Or Zanzibar. I imagine Tanzania is more like just a bigger pool. The blue economy is becoming a thing. People are talking about the blue economy in Tanzania. I was doing a little background reading. I read lots of articles about it. Is it about startups like we were talking about in the United States and in Europe? Do you have that startup craze there?
There is attention on the blue economy, and we're thankful for it because it's offering us a bit more room to help us develop our company. I would say that it's a very complicated space, government-wise, in various ways. Actually, infrastructure, education, the list is quite long. It is a very complicated space to work in. And I think that starting a company anywhere in the world is difficult. But here, I can't put a number to it, but it is certainly quite a bit more difficult. That said, it's all about willpower. And our team has a lot of willpower, and we've been steaming through and getting through over those hurdles. But it has taken a lot of effort to do that. And unfortunately, I would say that space is still quite young in Zanzibar, so there's not much support for new companies. Hopefully that will be changing. I think there is efforts, and of course you've got very proactive people in the government, but there's still a whole movement of growth and change in the government that has to happen and is happening.
Are there people there and willing to work? Because in the United States, there are many more jobs than people to do those jobs. Is it a good place to hire people? I understand that the education level is low, but is there a willingness to work and to be hired?
Zanzibaris have an amazing nature, an absolutely amazing sort of warm-hearted nature, and they're terrific to be with on a day-to-day. The lifestyle here is much more relaxed than elsewhere. So there's much more of a concept that time is a very long.
It's fluid, yeah.
It's very fluid, exactly. Time doesn't exist here as much. But I believe Zanzibar does struggle with is education. There hasn't been much emphasis on education in the last decades, whereby as an entrepreneur, when you're starting a new business, there's a lot of challenges when you can't find the right people. Now, our model is a bit different because we focus on training the women ourselves. Of course, it exists because of this gap in education, right? That's in a sense also why our mission exists.
Yeah, yeah. So you're about to leave. It sounds like you've got these products in France. Are they there already? Or they're
selling our products in France, that's right. But we are now starting in the US at the end of October.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so are you fundraising? I mean, does it take more money to make this happen? Like, what stage of your sort of business development are you at?
We're self-funded. We're really doing this ourselves. And we decided to do that not because we haven't had interest. We have had an interest. But we really wanted to do it on our own terms.
Yeah.
And I was concerned that having another investor on board would mean having to try and rush the process, having to try and focus more heavily on going to market rather than the quality and the finish and the whole principle behind it. So we didn't want to sacrifice that aspect of it, which isn't very business-minded of me. And not very investment banker-like of me. But I think we started this with such an open mind and it's progressed to the stage where we have a luxury product that's ready to launch. We didn't want to rush it at this stage and sacrifice what made this come to be in the first place.
Well, I don't know that it's not business-minded. I think if you impose the wrong structure on a cultural way of being, you might end up with the exact opposite of a productive environment. So you might be very right to go with the flow.
I think it's quite a cultural leap. You hit the nail on the head because that is it. It's a team effort, and I can't get the team where we would like to be by just following my own path. It's really a give and take. It's a collaboration. Yeah. And we have to get there together. So that is a very big factor in the whole equation as well.
So what's your end game here? What's the big goal? Like, how big do you want to take this?
How big?
China? Are you going to start selling in China? I mean, China, it's a huge market for skincare products.
Yes, there is. And also luxury products as well.
Yeah.
We have to be honest, I should have a number there and a percentage and a whole spreadsheet for you, but we want to allow this to get as big as it can get without losing the principle and the ethos behind it. And honestly, I haven't really seen a lot of companies that have this type of business model. So I would really have to see and gauge as we go along where we end up and how far we can take it and how big our supply chain can become in this part of the world and how much we can produce every day without losing the quality and the processing systems that we have. So that question, unfortunately, is going to go unanswered. I'm sorry.
No, your answer is perfect. I like your style. I think that's a beautiful way to think about a business because in the end, it's people. Right? The market is people. You don't know how many people are going to respond. The suppliers are people in the end. It's a human organism. We think of it as this very rigid structure that's sort of a machine, but it's not. It's people. It's just people.
Very true. And if I may add something as well, we've all kind of grown up with this concept, or actually not in Zanzibar, but in other parts of the world, we've grown up with this concept that everything should be available continually in abundance. And that's not how the world works. That's not how nature works. So perhaps using that principle as well, we want to see where those limitations are, where it's very important to work according to what nature gives us. And it is important to acknowledge that there are limited resources.
Yeah, I think that's really, really smart. So you're a climate advocate, you're a development advocate. Are you feeling optimistic about the future? I would usually ask about the climate, but are you feeling optimistic about the future of the place you are today with respect to the ecological and the social pressures there? Are we trending on the right trend line?
I am optimistic. At the same time, I do feel that it's important to raise awareness about this. And part of our new website, which is going to be launched within the next few days, is actually also focuses a little bit on this. It's also a little bit of a message to people working and living in Zanzibar. I believe that a lot of good can be done. Of course, it takes coordination, it takes willpower. And I do believe that Zanzibar has idealized developed countries. They actually idealize places with skyscrapers and takeaway, and they find that fantastic. And sometimes consider the very rural lifestyle that we have here as second grade. And that is an absolute pity because it's a gem.
Yeah.
And people from around the world come here and absolutely love Zanzibar. And that is because it has those things and because it's unique. And the people here are also very unique in their culture and way of living. And we should really protect that and be proud of it as well.
I agree. So do you have advice for entrepreneurs? So maybe you might have specific advice for Africa-based entrepreneurs or Zanzibar-based entrepreneurs.
Gosh, I think I have to get through this whole process and then I'll feel qualified to give advice. At this stage, I don't feel qualified.
Any hard lessons learned?
What I do feel very strongly about is that I feel that it does pay off to stick to certain convictions, to certain principles. And we've always done that here, and it's always paid off. We've been through difficult phases. We've gone through some turmoil, especially in the early days. But I feel that really being genuine, transparent, and remembering why you're there in the first place plays a big role in going forward.
Yeah.
So that's perhaps more for the Africans because... Or perhaps it's international as well, but I would say that African entrepreneurs really have a lot to contend with.
Well, I'm sure, but I think all entrepreneurs feel that chaos and those mountains and the valleys. It's a tough life filled with highs and lows and lots of chaos. Hopefully organized chaos, but anyhow.
Very gratifying though. And I think that's important to remember is gratitude. We have the space and the room to create something, and that's a blessing. So I guess it's having ownership over that and using that the most.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Klara, for coming on the show today. It's been just a joy to hear about your beautiful organic business that you're growing in Zanzibar, and I can't wait to see your product here.
Thank you, Abigail. Really appreciate it. It's been lovely chatting to you. And thank you for your time.
What a joy to have Klaartje on the show today. We'll share a link to Mwani Zanzibar in our show notes. Keep in mind that they will be launching in the U.S. on November 7th. Note to listeners, we're going to take a couple weeks off to regroup and get ready for Season 2. Thank you once again for listening. Please follow Happy Planet wherever you tune in and leave us a rating and review. It really helps new listeners discover the show. Happy Planet was reported and hosted by me, Abigail Carroll. I am also the executive producer. The talented Matt Patterson is our producer and editor. Composer George Brandel Egloff created our theme music. Learn more about my work and get in touch by visiting happyplanetpodcast.com.